Rappers and producers, I got hit with a very off the topic. Richie, this is something I really never talk about, huh? But Xander Paris asks, how do you think marijuana affects music producers? What are the pros and cons? Is it good for certain people but not for others? Your thoughts will be highly appreciated. Xander, let's talk about it. Rappers and producers, let's talk about Mary Jane, marijuana, endo, high it up as currency might even say. Let's talk about, let's have some pilot talk. So Xander asks a very interesting question, and it's something that I haven't really addressed in the past because I just feel like it's one of those topics where it's just like everybody has an opinion about it. Everybody has their, man, I smoked one time and I lifted 4 goats at the same time. It was crazy. Like I punched an elephant and it fell over. Then I picked it back up and I kissed it on his nose because I was so high. Like everybody got their stories. I'm going to just tell you my particular point of view, me being a music producer, because Xander wants to know how does the effects for a music producer. So for me, when I first smoked, it was an experimental thing. It was more so like, well, all my friends are doing it and, the typical story. And then I tried it. And when I first did it, I was, like early 20s. And it was like, oh, this is kind of crazy. Oh, man. What I didn't like was that it did not give me, I didn't have my control that I like to have. I like to be in control of my life and of my heartbeat and my eyes and my environment. And that was not conducive to that need for control. But I did it, and I was like, this is cool. It's not really for me, but I did it. Here's something I realized. I got older, and I had one bad scenario. Well, we're not going to talk about that right now, but I had one bad situation that changed my whole opinion about it. And it made me understand that as you get older, not only do you change as a human being, but your chemical changes. Your chemicals in your body changes. Even the grade of weed changes. And as I've seen things from other friends of mine that smoke on a regular basis, I look at things like the wax and just even like the more medicinal weed. And I look at, the transitions that it's gone through. And I just look and I'm like, man, there is no way in hell. But coming from my experience, like I said, I had that bad situation in which really what it was is that it was a sativa. It had my heart beating like crazy. And somebody said, well, man, maybe you need an indica. I had an indica, and then I sat here like this for a few hours, and I watched a National Geographic documentary, and I looked up it was on a projection screen, and I saw ants. And it was like zoomed in on these ants, and I was looking at these ants go under this tree. And I remember the sounds was so intense. I tried to cover my ears and close my eyes, and I still saw the same screen in my eyes. And I could actually see the ants going underneath the tree. Crazy experience. I did not like that. I tried to drink water to get myself calmed down, and I could feel the digestion process. Curtis is an overthinker. This was not for me. My chemicals changed along the way. The weed got stronger, and apparently my body was not having that at all. So somebody may say, well, have you ever tried to make a beat? Maybe your mind wasn't occupied. Good point. So I've had times where I made a beat, and what I realized that it slowed the process down for me, and that there was things I paid attention to that when I made a beat I didn't necessarily pay attention to before, and it was actually kind of cool in certain places, and in other places it was just like, when you're just tired of being high, you're tired of being high. And my friends enjoyed it. They was like, okay, but this is so tight. For me, I was like, bro, like I got grown man shit to do, and I need to not be here. And so I made the decision early on about not smoking, because for me it was like, here's the thing about it. I don't want to downplay it, because I think for certain people there's medicinal purposes, and I believe in the medicinal healing that comes from the weed in its purest form. I do believe that certain people need that. Folks who may have arthritis, or people that may have migraines like I get sometimes, or even problems sleeping. It does definitely help for that. Now, in terms of enhancing it for me, not for me. The same way alcohol. I don't like the way alcohol, it doesn't make anything better. What it does is it brings out more of who you are anyways. So here's my take on it. I would never tell another grown man or grown woman, oh, you shouldn't be smoking. It's going to tear up your production. No, I would say that anything in moderation is the way that you want to approach it. Anything that you abuse, you could abuse peanut butter and something bad can happen to you from having too many nuts in your paws. But you get, come on, Rich, you get where I'm coming at with this. Look, you can use and abuse anything. The people that I've seen in my life, I've seen people who have used weed and they have abused it. I've seen people who have actually used it and they still were productive. It was like I didn't even know they were high. If it wasn't for the smell coming off of them, I wouldn't even know they were high. Pros and cons, I think that for me in that situation, you know, the cons for me were, you know, eating too damn much because I'm sitting down already and I'm just consuming food. And that's obviously a side effect of being high, is wanting to eat and whatnot. And it just wasn't for me. Also, too, every strand has a different effect or side effect, just like medication. Medication has different side effects. You see those commercials where they say, may cause drowsiness, may cause vomiting, may cause insomnia, may cause, like, this is the point of me getting medication so I won't be sick. That's sometimes what it is with certain strands of weed. I had one time called Chocolate Train Wreck. And gave me diarrhea. We ain't gonna talk about that.
Chocolate Train Wreck. Huh?
It literally, Richie, it literally was called Chocolate Train Wreck, and the name did not disappoint. And I was a train wreck. But I had another one where the strand was a sativa, and I had so much aggression in me that I needed to do push-ups for no damn reason. I just had to do push-ups. I had to get this energy out of me. It became more of a hindrance than a benefit for me. So some of the cons of it, like I said, were that. Some of the pros were, you know, I did sleep well that night. Sometimes it stopped the overthinking going on in my head. Sometimes it, you know, maybe think outside the box with certain, you know, ideas. But really what I saw was that it's a preference thing. And for me, I didn't enjoy the feeling of being high. I didn't like that feeling over my body. And I liked being in control. If you're somebody that's controlling, I do not suggest doing anything that's going to take you out of control and give your, you know, relinquish your body's control to something else, to a substance. And I feel like that's what it was for me. And so for me, I don't honestly, you know, I feel like, you know, when you get yourself off of the processed foods, when you get yourself away from, even getting away from meat, you are going to experience a natural high. And I know it sounds cliche, but you're going to experience a natural high from consuming a lot of water, from exercising. You can get the same enhancements that you get from smoking. That's my opinion. You may be like, well, there's medical science. That's fine. I get the same benefit that I would have gotten without all the cons that come along with it. You know, the worst I think I got with eating vegan food is gas. And those vegan farts are terrible. They're terrible. I'm thinking of my girl right now because she knows. These vegan farts are horrible. I'm warning you now, son. But to double back on the topic, pros and cons, let me look at something else that you may have asked. You asked pros and cons, and then you asked, is it good for certain people but not others? Absolutely. I think that certain people are I'm just a different kind. Curtis is just I'm naturally high. I naturally think outside the box. I naturally overthink. I don't need anything that's going to enhance that. I need to be in control of that and make sure that I'm always just allowing my body to do what it does instead of trying to control it with other substances that control me. So it's not for everybody. You know, it may be something where, you know, I remember I had my first beer. One of my first beers, and I sat there and I was trying to think of like music video ideas, and I had all these ideas come to me. And, you know, I could argue that it was the beer that did it, but really what happened was I brought another substance in that took care of the voice inside that was so loud and so dominating that I just ignored it. I just didn't care. You can do that same thing when you start to enhance your IQ, your emotional IQ. You can do the same thing. It just takes longer. And because we get these substances in our body and we're able to, you know, alter ourselves pretty fast, that's why people do it. But the same thing that you think you're benefiting from doing drugs, you can have the same creativity being sober. You can have the same creativity going about things in your life from a very systematic way, from a very creative way, in putting yourself in environments that spike that creativity. You know, at the end of the day, we're all human beings with blood flowing through our systems, you know, got our organs and whatnot, and we are influenced by our environments, whatever we do. We're influenced by the foods we eat. So if you don't like the way you're feeling, I wouldn't automatically say go get a substance to, help you feel better. I would say just focus on what is it that you can do right now with what you do have. Because here's something else that I can see. Another con is that coming up as a music producer or even as a rapper, you're not in a position to be having many vices if you want to have to budget for music. Music is expensive. Your equipment is expensive. And when that becomes another vice, or when that becomes another, let's not even call it a vice. Let's call it a bracket on your budget. It can get very expensive. I've seen people spend half their damn paycheck because they're so dependent upon it. When in all actuality, it's an unhealthy relationship between them and that substance. I'm not calling a substance bad. The same way I wouldn't call a gun bad. The gun's not bad. It's the crazy fool behind the gun that's creating all these issues. So it's the same, I approach it the same exact way. When it comes to marijuana, I will not demonize it because I'm sure there are so many, it helped my migraines when I did smoke. It helped me sleep better. But the cons that came along with it, I was like, I'm good, fam. I just change my diet. I just go work out. I just focus on meditating. I focus on things that give me enhanced feelings. But once I got them, I just had them. But if that's what you do, all power to you. Moderation, let moderation be your friend. Just like Curtis King is your friend. I don't know. Once again, that's another Curtspiration Doodle. If you need some more juice, please subscribe to the channel below. Be a part of the notification gang. Everybody that's part of the Curtis King Beats community, I want to say I appreciate you, even though you already know that, because I'm talking to you on a regular basis. If you want to be part of the Curtis King Beats community, my friend, go to curtiskingbeats.com/membership. Join the 1%. Of folks who are here, not even just seeking information, but they're hungry to share information. They're hungry to network. They're hungry to get the most honest feedback they can, and we're engaging on a regular basis. I shut my Patreon down for this community because it's that important to me. So you can go to curtiskingbeats.com/membership, be a part of that. Coming back to the topic, look, you share your pros and cons as a rapper and producer. Share those with Xander. You share with him, your pros and cons of marijuana and what it's done for you. I can only give you my perspective on it, use a little bit of logic. And once we use the logic and reasoning, we can go ahead and I can share with you the pros and cons, the benefits, all the beautiful stuff, and all the things that wasn't so beautiful, like chocolate train wreck. And then we can move from there. In this life, you will not be full of life until you decide to live life to its fullest. Curtis King at curtiskingbeats.com.
I can't listen to you. When I listen to you, it's a liability. Cause you be mentally killing my inner energy. So I'm concealing my feelings before you injure me.